Welcome and thank you for joining us here on Campfire Talk Show. You are live and we are live, and we thank you for always being part of our programs, our shows that we always host here on every weekend. Campfire Talk Show welcomes you so much. But 2019 has just started. There's so many stories that have already developed as we move into this great new year. The last week, or probably this week that has just ended, or that is ending, there's so many stories that happened. The year ended in this week and it started in this very week. So that makes it a very great year. Now, first of all, I want to welcome you to 2019. Just as we did when we wished you a very wonderful 2019 during 2018. Now, as 2018 was ending, there were so many messages that moved across from the President, General Kaguta Museveni, to Bobby Wine, Arias, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, Dr. Kizza Besigye. Politically, those were the messages that they sent out messages to their supporters, their countrymen, countrywomen, just to hear or send them great wishes for the new year 2019. And of course, this year we expected President Museveni to again talk about wealth creation, just as it has always been, as a song to some, and of course a new message to others. So this year started well with great information, great people, great men and women, and we expect a lot from it. But one major thing that really happened was the history that was made yesterday during Eddie Kenzo's show. Now, to me, I would put Eddie Kenzo as a person of the month as the year starts. He's going to be my person of the month for January 2019 because of what he did yesterday to bring two rivals together, sit on the same table. I mean, there was a lot that happened, and today we are going to be discussing that with my friend Sarah Joy. We promised last week that Sarah Joy will be part of us this Saturday because she wasn't with us, and we thank you for the prayers. Now she's really doing good. Sarah, I want to thank you for joining us today. How has it been for you, especially this week as it has started?
Happy New Year. I will start with Happy New Year to our viewers and to everyone who loves Uganda Crossroads, and to every Ugandan, everyone in the world. Happy New Year. Hope, especially for Ugandans, we pray that 2019 is a good year. There's been so much happening in 2018. So we pray that 2019 is a good and better year for Ugandans. We pray people get money. People don't have money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we pray that people are able to get money. But just like you said, it's been an interesting first 5 days of the year. Very interesting. So many things happening back to back. You talk about what happened yesterday.
Right.
For me, it was a beautiful transition from what had happened on Thursday.
Yeah.
We saw Bebe Cool on NBS Frontline, and he was placed among people who have been doing this. They've been on talk shows for a long time. Among people who are very good listeners, they have very good communication skills, and he was placed among those people when he was not even prepared for such. I think he looked, when he saw music and politics, he looked at it as one of the shows where you go on corner,
Right.
corner with Myros Ramiti, and you do your usual banter, and then he maybe looked at it as he was going to hang out with maybe Cats after NBS after 5.
Right.
There's no substance.
I want to stop you from there. Sorry, I don't want us to go straight away, because this is really very interesting. When you look at what happened yesterday, just within one word, I just want to start with Eddie Kenzo. Within one word, how would you define Eddie Kenzo? Within just one word.
You're basically, what I'm saying is a build-up to come. I'm just giving you a build-up to come to Eddie Kenzo, because sometimes when there is no tension, there is no build-up, such like what happened yesterday, you saw everyone screaming. It would have been magical. There would be nothing about it if it wasn't the tension that had been built up for a very long time. For example, Frontline built a lot of tension from everything Bebe Cool was saying. There was a lot of tension he built. You saw him, he couldn't differentiate between Bobby Wine. For him, he feels Moses Sally is Bebe Cool, but Bobby Wine cannot be, but Chagulanyi cannot be Bobby Wine. Right. These are people you cannot separate. This is one person. But for him, he felt, I'm Bebe Cool, I can talk about the politics of Uganda, and Bobby Wine cannot talk about the politics of Uganda. So it was some double standards. He was quick to answer questions that were really complex, that needed a little bit of drawing back and thinking and analyzing before you say anything. He was quick to jump in and say blah, 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 blah. So that was a very bad interview on the side of Bebe Cool. In fact, on that interview, Bobby Wine scored. In a way, people were trying to analyze, what is your problem? He said, oh, he's my competition. I can never let him go. This is a boy I used to slap around. And all of us, we were amazed. Everyone watched it. You saw the internet the next day was all crowded with the noise from, oh, Mdiba was the winner, from all that.
Who happens to be the winner there? Because when I look at...
because let me tell you one thing.
All right.
We all must accept Museveni is using Bebe Cool for reasons that are well known. He has used so many people, so there is we cannot say, okay, there is no rocket science. He's using him.
These have been really long-time friends. We do remember when Bebe Cool was shot, Museveni went to the hospital to see his long-time friend. So what does that tell you?
Museveni has no friend. Bebe Cool is not Museveni's friend. He's not.
He calls him a son.
He calls you his Muzukulu. How many times do you go and play from State House? He's not. Museveni has no friend. He has no friend. Museveni has people he uses. So you cannot confuse friendship with people he's using. If Museveni was not benefiting anything from Bebe Cool, he wouldn't be... Chitata. Museveni used to call Chitata his son. I don't know if you followed up or if you know. Chitata used to directly call the president. Where is Chitata right now? So Museveni has no friends. Museveni has... Maybe he considers the biological children, that is Mohozi and the rest patients, the kids. Those are his children. He's Bebe Cool, Bidandi Sadi, that's his father. He's a son to Bidandi Sadi, not Museveni. Museveni has no friends. He uses and dumps whenever he feels like. So for Bebe Cool, that show, he really showed us that he hates Bobby Wine. And we failed to get the reason. I remember Mouse asking him, what exactly the problem? He said, what I would, get, he said, he's my competitor in the music industry. But again, what he failed to analyze and understand, that as much as Bobby Wine is a competitor in the music industry, Bobby Wine has elevated himself and taken himself to the level of a politician. Because at some point he says, oh, Bobby Wine is not an MP, Chagulanyi is not an MP. So it was really confusing, but we must, until when Mao told him, you know what, Bobby Chagulanyi took an oath.
Right.
Yeah, because if you say he cannot say certain things to your president, he took an oath to protect this country as a member of parliament.
Now, focusing on the Frontline show that was aired on NBS, and I want to appreciate the fact that NBS is doing a great job to promote the politics and the entertainment industry in Uganda. First of all, when I heard Bebe Cool say that we are competing musically, I think I got some sense in that.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. And there I would give him the bonus. Bebe Cool, as much as he's seen Bobby Wine transition into politics, and for him, he still sees him as a competitor in the music industry, right, which is very okay. Because you know why? Bobby Wine crossing, he's also crossing to people who did not even support him, but maybe underprivileged. Maybe when he speaks as Kyagulanyi, he speaks to the masses who are Bebe Cool's fans. I have known people who have been Bebe Cool's fans and now they support Kyagulanyi because they think...
For the political reasons?
Yeah, for the reasons that are for the socio-economic justice that Bobby Wine is speaking. And you see at the end of the day, whether you're a fan of Bobby Wine or Bebe Cool, at the end of the day, the problems of Uganda affect both fans. The fans of Bebe Cool go through the same problems. Yeah. On a daily basis. They are as jobless as the fans of Bobby Wine. They see the insecurity as the fans of Bobby Wine.
Right.
So it's the problems of Uganda as much as the two. Bebe Cool moves with security. He has armed officers that take care of his security, but his fans do not get that privilege. Maybe Bobby Wine gets a privilege of having bouncers around him. His fans do not get that. So where Bobby Wine excels, when away from being Bobby Wine, he can stand as Kyagulanyi, a member of parliament, as a human rights activist, as someone who fights for the oppressed, and speak to both fans of Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool. So Bebe Cool, seeing Bobby Wine as a competitor, he has a point because Bobby Wine is eating into his fans because he's speaking directly to the problems of his fans, and maybe the fans are listening. So I give it to him, right, for looking at him as a competitor. But
when I look at these two individuals, I think Bobby Wine wants to oust Museveni out of power.
Yeah.
And the main target may not be the problems that are affecting the Ugandans, but maybe him gaining the presidential seat and being called fountain of honor for Republic of Uganda.
No, but Bobby Wine, on so many occasions, he has said the problem. His target is not sitting at the topmost seat. He has said that for so many times. Because if you change presidents and you don't change the regime, you're wasting time. Because even if you get someone and you change the face to represent Uganda as president and you don't change, the problems of Uganda may not, okay, it is Museveni, but why we say Museveni and his regime? It is the corruption, it is the nepotism, it is the tribalism. That all encompasses, unless you uproot that. Even if you change Museveni and put Museveni, another person up there, and the person is not willing to fight corruption, you've not done anything. I'll just give you an example. Right. Kagame, people are labeling Kagame dictator because he does not allow anyone from the opposition to say something. But right, Kagame, there is no corruption in Rwanda. Try to steal and see what is going to happen. So as much as Kagame is labeled, people look at him. When you start defining a dictator, he has elements of a dictator. But what he's doing better is his regime is fighting the vices that would eat up and spoil his presidency. Just like in Rwanda, you don't just wake up and steal. But you've seen people steal, they're recycled from one office to another.
Right.
So the issue is anyone who is just fighting to take the topmost office minus changing the regime and the elements that make the regime bad is just wasting time.
Well, this is a question I asked the boys when they were here last Saturday. And I said, in the struggle between Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool, I guess Museveni is winning. And the reason is, right now, we don't talk so much about Bobby Wine and Museveni, or Honorable Kyagulanyi and President Museveni right now. We speak about Bebe Cool versus Bobby Wine, Moses Sali versus Robert Kyagulanyi. Don't you see that now Museveni is strategizing? Are these people just...
That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. Basically, Museveni enjoyed so much Bebe Cool bickering with Bobby Wine. This is what happened yesterday. What happened on Thursday was a clear indication on Frontline that Bebe Cool just wants to draw the attention on himself so that the battle looks like it's him and Bobby Wine. And that's what he has been showing his fans as Bebe Cool.
Right.
As much as from day one, Bobby Wine's problem is Museveni and his entire regime. Bobby Wine is not fighting Bebe Cool. When they stopped his show, you saw when Bebe Cool, Akalenzikan and all that blah, 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 blah. Bebe Cool, when Bobby Wine was interviewed, he said, Bebe Cool is my brother, we are we are in the same industry, and maybe what is affecting these two, one has very good communication skills better than the other.
Right.
Because one thing I see with Bebe Cool, he does not listen to himself. Bebe Cool, because at some point I saw him saying Bobby Wine is playing a game, and Bobby Wine, if he's playing a game, he is very good at it. Because I am telling you, people love emotion. Bebe Cool doesn't have emotion.
Right.
And that is going to beat him and affect him. If you do not have emotion, however good you are, right now, I'll give you an example. Obama is not the president of America, but people still draw back to Obama because of emotion. When Obama, kids will draw into him, women will draw into him. Now, Bobby Wine, what he does, he has a lot of emotion that you saw what happened at Nkuka? Right. An old woman jumped on the stage. The bouncers were taking the old woman away. He said no. There is that picture with Bobby Wine on the stage walking with this old woman.
Right.
And in the background there are crowds and mammoth of people. What does it tell you about Bobby Wine?
That
he's welcoming. He loves them all, the old, the young. So I'm telling you, when you refuse, even in politics, you must know how to play with emotion. You must know where are your strong points. So Bebe Cool, by the way, I see him as someone who wants to join politics, and quote me today, in the near future Bebe Cool will join politics.
But,
he wants to join politics. He may not join the elective politics because he does not have, unless he goes back to school, he does not have the academic qualification to make him join active politics. Active politics as in standing for elective politics.
I think he has a senior 6 certificate.
No,
which
he did not.
He
dropped out from senior 5.
Because a few days ago, which I think probably today in the morning on NBA Next Media Radio, he mentioned that I am a senior 6.
No, he did not. He started with my cousin. They were in Kampala Makerere College, and he dropped out in senior 5.
Oh.
Yeah, he dropped out. He was studying with my cousin in the same class. He dropped out in senior 5. He did not finish senior 6. He doesn't have a certificate unless he goes back to school and acquires that. But even if he joins elective politics, what is going to affect him? He does not have the emotion. He's not the type, and you know emotion, you cannot fake it.
Right.
Emotion has to be there. I'll take you to what happened yesterday. Bobby Wine, he must have, yesterday, because on Thursday, what happened on Thursday at the front line, Museveni won. Museveni was winning, and I'm very sure wherever he was drinking and summing up his chest.
Let me
because you know what, he had exactly done what he was intended to do. Make Bebe Cool become so bitter and show his anger, so that even the supporters of Bebe Cool derive that anger and take it up. But at the same time, Bebe Cool as an individual lost. He could not give us, he really showed us he's not man enough to stand around men and give constructive arguments.
Let me stop you from there. Let me go back to the people who are watching us live on Facebook and different social media platforms. I want to thank you so much, and please send in your comments, send in your questions. Tell us what you think about the battle between Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool. Yesterday we saw history being made in the Republic of Uganda, history made in Africa, history made in the universe. Eddie Kenzo bring people back together, rivals who have been, they've been fighting against one another for over 10 years plus, but this was a very good moment for them coming together. Now, the question that we want to ask you, the people who are watching us on Facebook or on different social media networks, is, do you think on the show that was aired on NBS Frontline, who won that show? President Museveni won the battle, Bebe Cool won, or Bobby Wine? Tell us what you think based on the discussion that was on NBS Frontline. We are allowed to discuss issues that happen on different networks, so that is very important to us. So tell us what you think. Did Bebe Cool win in this struggle, the political struggle and entertainment, or President Museveni? Maybe Bobby Wine, the Right Honorable I hate to say right honorable, but Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, because he's a member of parliament and represents a vast majority of Ugandans, not only in Uganda, but right now, worldwide. He's speaking the voice of the voiceless. Sarah, I'm coming back to you.
Yep, so we were going back on the NBS show.
Right.
Museveni won in a way, I'm just breaking it down for you.
Right.
Museveni won in the way Baby Cool showed his anger. Because, you know, when Baby Cool shows all that anger, it does not stop at him. It goes into his fans.
Right.
And they become angry, they become agitated. You could see that. But Baby Cool, as an individual, he failed. He failed terribly because he failed to stand among men and put out issues. Because you saw really Andrew Mwenda was biting onto him. And basically what happened, for me it looked like a setup. The host really set him up at that clip that played around social media a lot, where he told him, so who is here? And Baby Cool, for a second, he would have kept quiet for a second to think through what he's being told, because he was being played at that particular moment, and he fell into the game. He was played. Of all the discussions that took for over 1 hour, that is a clip that went on social media.
Right. So if I may ask you, well, if somebody asks you, what is the difference between these two? Because there is a reason why this question is rising up every day on social media and different platforms. Why do people try to differentiate between Bobi Wine and Robert Kyagulanyi? And why do people now, starting from Thursday, try to differentiate between Baby Cool and Moses Sali? Why do you think that topic is coming up?
There is no contrast. There is no contrast. You cannot say Baby Cool is Moses Sali and Bobi Wine is Kyagulanyi. If you want to draw the line, I know where people try to say Bobi Wine should draw the line between Kyagulanyi, the member of parliament, and Bobi Wine, who is a musician. But you forget Bobi Wine has been singing about the socio-economic justice for the last 10 years. In others telling him not to sing. He has been singing about the injustice in Uganda for a very long time in most of his songs. In others, you're telling him not to sing. It's because people ignored his music. People loved the beat in the music and ignored the message. If you look at all the musicians in Uganda, apart from the musicians who do band music, it is Bobi Wine. When you cross over to the Afrobeat and all that, it is Bobi Wine who has the most songs with a message. As compared to Born in Africa, Baby Cool songs? No, Baby Cool, most of his songs, most of these musicians, they don't have a message. For example, Baby Wine did Bie Kwaso, the song. It is talking about, when you become a tenant, when you're renting someone's house for 10 years, it doesn't not become yours. That's a message. When you talk about Chalenga, for example, I see people saying Chalenga is a political song. It depends on how you interpret it. Chalenga addresses the issues so many men, you inclusive, are facing right now. If you don't have money, you're not going to court any girl. Oh, yeah, sure. You're not going to, literally, a girl is going to leave you and go with a man who has money, no matter whether it's the age of her father or what. It is happening. We see it, and it is not even only happening in Uganda, all over the world. So the message in there, I don't know how it becomes political, or maybe because, but it even makes it, because it was a song well done, sung in 10 languages, and well executed, and has a message that speaks to people all over the world. So going back to the show, Baby Cool, they never gave him a chance. He was dealing with people who are playing him. They knew what to do. They've been panelists. He's been used to shows like Corner by Ramiti, shows like NBS After 5. Right. There's no depth. There's no content. There's no intellectual elements in those shows. It is just usual banter of musicians kind of dissing each other. There's no maturity in those shows. There's nothing tangible compared to a show like Frontline. So Baby Cool had to prepare, which he did not do, and Baby Cool had to listen to himself. He was not giving. I would see him jumping to each and every one, and he wasn't listening. So that clip he was played, Museveni won because he now made Baby Cool's fans more angry, because by the time we ended Friday, they were so bitter because these other camps or these other people were laughing at them. And then Bebe Cool, he did not score, because even if he has intentions of going into elective politics or active politics, he has a lot of growing up to do. He's not, when you're discussing real issues, important issues that affect Uganda, he's not the type of guy you put on the chair to discuss with people, because he does not understand the problems of Uganda. He's so shallow when it comes to serious, deep issues. But when it comes to music, I wish, by the way, they had given him time alone. You know, when they put together music and politics, that's where they confused him. When it comes to music, I give it to Bebe Cool. He understands the dynamics. That's why you see, when he said for him he's in competition with Bobby Wine.
King of showbiz.
It is very understandable. Let me tell you one thing. When Bobby Wine, the most peak Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool have ever been to is the time when they used to beef.
Yeah, exactly.
That time, I'm telling you, I'm not a fan of any musician in Uganda. I don't have any fan. I'm not a fan of any musician. But I love good music. When a musician comes out with a song, I'll go with that. When the next one, but I am telling you, I used to love their beef. Their beef was really interesting, because one would diss each other and would wait for what's a song the other is going to reply. And when you see, it has been used all over the world. What has made Cardi B what she is right now? It is her beefing with Nicki Minaj.
Right, exactly.
All these other artists, Kanye West, if he beefs with Jay-Z and he comes up with a song, look at what has sold Drake. It is attacking Kanye's wife and all that. His music, his entire album that came out really sold very well because of that. Beef really sells music. But the competition in music, I see Bebe Cool is right 100%. He's free to compete with Bobby Wine. But when we cross over and add in the elements of politics, social injustice, and things that affect Ugandans, that's where he needs a lot of coaching and growing. In fact, for me, I was of the view, Bebe Cool needs, if he wants to also transition and start talking about politics, he needs to get a coach. Let him do some communication skills are very important. Let him go for anger management classes. He needs to understand that. And then he needs to tone it down, because he failed to understand, to explain the hatred and before.
Now, sorry, away from the frontline show that happened on Thursday, I want to go to yesterday. Yesterday was history made in Uganda.
Yeah.
All over social media, mainstream media, everywhere we are talking about this show. Eddie Kenzo made something uncomparable. To me, I look at him as a very intelligent man. And when I look at Eddie Kenzo right now, I mean, he's a future for Uganda, not just because he's a musician, but the way he works his games around. I mean, the way he brought Bebe Cool, the way he brought Bobby Wine, and how other artists are coming up to say, wow, this was amazing. Let's talk about yesterday's show.
And this is, by the way, yesterday.
I'm gonna ask my producer to put some of the pictures. Yeah.
Yesterday was a build-up. I'll tell you what happened.
Right.
And that's why I'm telling you, Bebe Cool needs a very smart person, because as much as Museveni is using him, Bebe Cool also wants to win.
Right, exactly.
He wants, you know, Bebe Cool is not, I don't think he's stupid to know that Museveni is using him. He has seen all these people Museveni has used, and he knows it, as much as he doesn't want to admit it. But at the same time, Bebe Cool in this game, he wants, because when you look at last year, Bebe Cool did not have any music. Did not have any song, even if it's he did not have any hit. That's what I would say. Right. When you look at Sidikamo, when you look at Wasang na Wasibukawa, those are not hits. Bebe Cool, on the trajectory of musicians who are performing, he's really down, though he does not want to admit. Because when you do not have a song that stands out, if I tell you to sing for me the first 5, maybe even if it's the chorus of Wasibukawa, you don't know it. I've asked so many people to do it. People don't know it. People know Chalenga. If people, and I'm telling you, when a song crosses over, when you see, I've seen clips of people deep down in the villages drinking Mara singing Chalenga, then that song has made the demand. Because when you make music, you want music that is going to cut across from the urban, semi-urban, and the rural. If you make music that cuts across all areas, the urban people love it, know the music, the semi-urban, and then the rural, then that's good music. Then you've met... Let
me ask my producer to put a picture of what happened yesterday when these two guys were shaking hands and hugging. This is where I see history being done in Uganda.
It may not, by the way, it may be history, it may not be history. This was a build-up. Bebe Cool started by buying tickets
Right.
for
Eddie Kenzo 10 years anniversary.
10 years. This is a guy who has been calling Kenzo a dancer. He doesn't know how to sing. Who has been dissing him and putting him down.
But he listed him on his list of the year.
Let me tell you one thing. He listed him because one of the things, if you study a little bit of psychology, Bebe could have told you as much as 90% he does very stupid things. He's not entirely stupid. Because if you're gonna, Bebe Cool knows very well.
Right.
But Kenzo has a lot of respect for Bobby Wine. He calls him his mentor. He says he wouldn't be anywhere without Bobby Wine. So what do? Try and put the people who love Bobby Wine in your good circles. So when he started off by buying, and I'm telling you, in normal circumstances, Bebe Cool would not buy Kenzo's tickets. Bebe Cool went to buy the tickets just to score.
The game?
Yeah, in his game. By the way, he also plays the game. In his game, Bebe Cool is looking at, okay, because, as much as he says Bobby Wine feeds on public sympathy, he wants to milk that too, but what he lacks is emotion. Right. Immediately after my show, and Chiwatule,
right,
you run to Chirudu and take toilet paper, of all things. You see, because you want to position yourself as someone who gives back and you always care about people. He gave so many other things, I'm telling you. But people capitalized on the toilet paper he gave, and it just messed up the entire charity activity he wanted to do. But the timing to him was right, because he wanted to score. I've done my show, now I'm giving back to people immediately after my show, but then he takes toilet paper to people who are sick, people who may even lack a meal in the hospital. What are they going to use toilet paper? Okay, toilet paper is good. I know the management could have sold it already. It's in the canteen of the hospital management. So he buys tickets.
I want to read some of the comments that are coming from Facebook. Let me try to go into Aisha bint Nuhu Mustafa. Says Bebe Cool has a scripture to follow which the State House gave him. Okay. Let me read from Requel Hills. It says, "Stay reminded that Bebe Cool said this morning that he was hijacked. No history made yesterday."
No. I'll break it. Okay, let me explain this to you.
Right.
Bebe Cool, whether he was hijacked or not, he lost. Let me tell you one thing. Whether it's showbiz, whether it's what, he lost. Because what has the build-up of the script Museveni gave Bebe Cool was to cause tension and a lot of anger in his followers and fans, to make it look like they cannot even feed on the same oxygen with Bobby Wine. To make it look like if these two met in the same room, they would kill each other. To make it look like these two cannot be in the same environment. So that was the anger that was building up. And that was exactly what Bebe Cool has been building up for all this time. Because if creating beef where it is not, throwing tantrums, doing all this, calling him all that. Even when you saw on the front line, he was building up his anger. You've been seeing how Bebe Cool's fans have been geared up. Some of them are very oppressed. They are going through very tough conditions, but they are supporting Bebe Cool because they are fans of his music, but going through the same conditions Bobby Wine is talking about. So what happened yesterday? Whether he was hijacked, one, what did it show us? And I'm telling you, yesterday Museveni lost, because all along he has been building up his game to show us that these two cannot be in the same room. But what did we get yesterday? Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine can be in the same room, sit on the same table, hug. and even smile, whether it was a forced smile or not, and smile without no one killing each other.
The most interesting part in that entire saga that happened yesterday, which was really beautiful,
Yeah.
and I have to say it for people who are watching us live on Facebook and other social media platforms that we do air on, history was made because nobody expected when these two people will ever meet and sit on the same table.
Yeah.
Now, I had a chance to ask Alex Nakatoi. She's in Uganda. She was there. She had a conversation with Eddie Kenzo before. She had a conversation, I think, after. I'm still yet to find out, but at least I know that she had a conversation before. And when I asked her, did Eddie Kenzo mention to you that these two people are going to sit together?
No, it wasn't premeditated.
No, exactly.
It wasn't premeditated. But Eddie Kenzo, and again, I've seen people on social media say, oh, Baby Wine and Baby Cool hijacked Eddie Kenzo's show. No, they didn't. By the way, Eddie Kenzo in this comes out as the extreme. Museveni loses. Now we know Baby Wine and Baby Cool can maybe even one day reconcile. They can breathe the same oxygen. We know very well Baby Wine and Baby Cool can survive. There is nothing really much. They can make peace. I saw Eddie Yawe also hugging. He's called Cobra, Baby Wine's Baby Cool's bodyguard. Right. They were in the show for over 2 hours. No nothing, no chaos, no nothing. People were happy to see these two guys who have been friends before hug. But where Enzo scores, this was Kenzo's show. We definitely, Baby Cool had bought tickets. I don't know whether Bobby Wine was going to even be allowed to be at the show, but he managed to be there. But when Bobby Wine came in, if you notice, if you see the video clips, Bobby Wine had sat behind with Nubian Lee. And then when he came in, when Kenzo saw him, he said, he called him to come and sit on the same table with the Katikiro. So when Baby Cool came in, again Kenzo called him to come and join them at the table.
So was it a plan?
It wasn't planned, but Eddie Kenzo saw it as, Eddie Kenzo is smart. He saw it as an opportunity as much as this is celebrating 10 years, he scored at bringing these two people on the same table, shake and hug, and there is peace in the room. Eddie, this is something Chameleon failed to do. Chameleon would have been the bridge, but Chameleon also has no emotions.
Well, when you talk about Chameleon, actually, I wanted to read some comments from different messages that are coming in on social media. Chameleon said that this was a very wonderful day, and he wishes the legends can come up with a collab. That is the message I saw on Eddie Kenzo's page.
Yeah, but Chameleon would have initiated this long time ago. They are leaders, political leaders. They are elders. Mama Fina talked about it, bringing these people together. There are people who would have done this before. And it so happens that someone younger than both of them, because Eddie Kenzo is younger than Bobby Wine, younger than Baby Cool. Someone younger and someone who one of them had even despised. Because Baby Cool has been despising, calling Kenzo a karaoke dancer and all that. But someone you despises is the person in this environment who brings them together. As much as I don't care whether it was genuine, I've seen people say to Baby Cool it was fake. He played the part because he had, let me tell you, these are the options. Baby Cool had an option of refusing to hug or even give Bobby Wine a handshake. Still, it would be the talk of the day. Maybe he would get even more people to hate him. But Baby Cool was caught in a situation where, and I'm so happy this time he had to use his common sense immediately and say, you know what, I'm in an environment where the room is packed up, the Katikiro is here, I have to be cordial. Because Baby Cool is the type who has he does not, when he hates you. I've told people, all of us live in the moment. I may not like you, but if I find you in an environment where it's unavoidable, I'll say hi around people. I'll even smile. I'll even laugh and pretend that we talk every day. We're good. It is okay. Human beings, you must know when. You must know when to draw the line. So the Baby Cool I know has no emotion. When he hates you, there is no, there is no elements of gray. So, it is either black or white. So the moment he was in yesterday, he would have chosen to just walk away. By the way, I give him a plus for acting cordial for having manners and exercising good manners, because Baby Wine stood up even when Bebe Cool was still in his back, standing up. By the way, I'll tell you one thing: whether Bebe Cool had given Bobby Wine a handshake or not, Bobby Wine would have scored already. Right. The sign of him standing up in African culture is respect. The sign of him standing up is respect. So already him standing up, even before Bebe Cool completely approaches him, for him, he had already shown he's ready to make peace. No. So because if he had seated down and looked at the other side at his wife, already, because now we are reading the body language. Right. The body language for Bobby Wine in that moment was to make peace. In fact, Bobby Wine, if Bebe Cool calls, Bobby Wine is an actor, and I give it to him. Bobby Wine was so happy. The emotions, I would read the body language. He was so happy to meet his long-time brother. He was, for him, I think he was ready for this moment. Whether it had happened then or not, he was ready for this moment. It really showed us Bobby Wine is someone who can move past things, who can forgive. And when you're looking for a leader, you need a leader who is going to reconcile Uganda. Uganda this time is broken. You want a president that is going to reconcile people and say, you know what? Yes, we wronged each other, but it is time to come together. So that's what, for me, from the body language of Bobby Wine, he was exercising. He showed that he can forgive, no matter how much you've abused me, no matter how much you've said, no matter how much you said about me on Barometer. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to stand up. Whether you shake my hand or not, I am going to stand up. Standing up for men, a man who has been seated. For a woman, it is kneeling down. But when you find me seated, when I stand up, it is a sign of respect. Bobby Wine already showed the respect. He had a smile which was not fake. It was genuine. And for us, when we are looking for leaders, we want that in a leader.
Now, Eddie Kenzo, when Eddie Kenzo was posting the videos for these two individuals to come and show up in his show, he talked about Bobby Wine as his mentor and someone he loves most. When he was posting for Bebe Cool, he said, comrade. Now, when you look into the term comrade, sometimes it's people, somebody you have a same cause, but you have different ideas. So you know, you're not friends as such, but you know, you have a same cause you want to finish up with. And one most important thing again on the issue of Bebe Cool and Eddie Kenzo. Did Bebe Cool, as Prince Adams actually raised it here on Facebook, did Bebe Cool come to Eddie Kenzo's show because he supported him during the AFRIM award?
One, it could be that. One, two, Bebe Cool wanted to score. You know, to win people, when you start, you know, Bebe Cool knows very well that Bobby Wine and Kenzo, they are friends. And this is Kenzo you've been dissing for a very long time.
Exactly. That's
so if you've been dissing him for a very long time, take baby steps. Start attending his shows. When you attend his shows, in the public, Bebe Cool would be scoring. He would be scoring and say, okay, he used not to like him, but now he's attending his show. Because let me tell you one thing. All these guys, whether in showbiz, whether in politics, we don't do things for ourselves. We do things with the connotation that who is watching? Who is watching? When I go out and get to a place, I am looking around and screening who is around. In showbiz, people do that. So, Bebe Cool, definitely, he bought tickets. How many times has Kenzo had shows? Did he congratulate Kenzo when he won the BET award? No, he didn't. In fact, he dissed him. They're not friends. And for me, if I see Bebe Cool saying Bobby Wine is a very good pretender, he's also a pretender. They're not friends. He's doing all this because he wants to cut across and also pull up Kenzo's fans. Because when he put up a post, and maybe Kenzo's fans said, oh, Bebe Cool, you know, has done this. So you want to cut across and also skip into, because Kenzo's fans love Bobby Wine. They would support him. But Kenzo's fans do not like Bebe Cool. because of the way he has been treating their artist. So what do you start by doing? By even Bebe Cool even Kenzo was shocked that Bebe Cool had bought tickets. So Bebe Cool, what he's trying to do, to make some smart moves of how do I cross over, because when you look at the fans of Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine, there is no, it is black and white. Apart from Bebe Cool's fans who also can reason and see that the things Bobby Wine is talking about are the things that affect them. Those are the people you've seen. I know Bebe Cool's fans who have crossed over, or they don't like, maybe they don't still like Bobby Wine's music, but they love the cause he's up to.
Let me put you this way. You know, the reason why we've so much focused on yesterday's show, and also to our viewers, is that yesterday, why we say it was history, Bebe Cool surprised everyone. People expected him to put on, people expected him to put on actually yellow or any other color. Now we are seeing somebody who is always against the people power movement, Sarah, who comes on the show putting on a red attire, and people are like, what's going on? Why is he putting on people? Is he now, are you saying that he's
no, he's not.
Still?
Let me tell you one thing. He's Bebe Cool is trying to play a game he has not sat down to rehearse. Bobby Wine, if Bobby Wine had come in red, maybe he wouldn't even be allowed to enter. Bebe Cool is trying to show that I'm the next, I can't be the Mohoz, I can do anything in this country and I'm untouchable. I can wear red from head to toe and nothing happens to me.
So
I can wear yellow. No, he's not outsmarting anything. He's not doing anything people people are smart. People see through all this. Because yesterday, if his intention was to come to this show wearing red, and scoring for that. Are people talking about him wearing red? He did not score for that. People are talking about them being in the same space, whether he faked a smile. And I'm telling you, I saw the interview immediately after Full Doors. What he said, oh, you know, the environment, I respect the Kabaka. And if I was next to him, I would slap him and tell him, shut up. At this point in time, let him not do interviews. Let him get someone good at PR to help him, because you cannot wash clothes and put them in there. Because whether anything he says, oh, I was ambushed, I was attacked, you know, I was not prepared for that, he's making himself the biggest fool on this universe. And he's making Bobby Wine score, because what Bobby Wine has showed us from those clips, he has respect for Bebe Cool. No matter how much he has said about him, he still respects him as an elder brother, as an artist. In society, people, respect is key. And I'm telling you, Bobby Wine himself, nurturing himself for the big seat, respect is key. Even the elders who are watching or who see these clips, even Museveni is going to be scared. Watching the amount of respect Bobby Wine has been accorded, whether Bebe Cool faked it, whatever, anything he keeps on saying, because at that moment, there are people who are not Bobby Wine's fans, who are not Bebe Cool's fans. They are neutral, but they were happy to see these people hug out and shake hands and make peace for whatever it is. Right. So for you to go and do interviews afterwards and say, no, I just did it because you know, the Katikiro was around. It is very childish. It is very, very, very childish. In fact, he should not do those interviews. He would rather keep quiet and not say a thing, because he's a big man. How can you say? He had a choice. Even if you didn't want to do it, he would have just walked away. And people label him, okay, he hates him. But the fact that not even once, even if you see the next clip, there are clips that I saw on Spark TV where the MC, that was Roger Mugisha, moved them up to the stage. If you participated in all this, you better keep quiet. You were outplayed. Because what has been orchestrated all this time was to show us these two can kill each other if they ever met. Now we know they cannot.
Let me read you what came from. Let me read what came from Bobby Wine's message here. Actually, I've just seen the post here. They've just sent it to me, my producers. It says, as I've been saying all along, I have no problem with Bebe Cool. He's a fellow artist, a man I have known for many years, but above all, a fellow Ugandan. The problems we face in Uganda are bigger than us. The issues which Uganda faces cannot and should not be reduced to a Bobby Bebe Cool affair. At the same time, those issues affect all of us. If one of us got an accident on the road and we can't find a hospital to give us emergency care, it won't matter. If it is me or Bebe, we should therefore not lose sight of who our real enemy is or what the real problem is. We should not allow ourselves to be distracted. Now,
he's very right, and I'm telling you, I'm so happy that this has happened in the 5 days of January and it has ended, because this whatever Museveni had orchestrated or whatever this game has been was to put focus, was to always interview Bebe Cool, let him talk about Bobby Wine, and cause this animosity between the two. And maybe we would have gotten clarity if the two had maybe sat on an interview together, which I didn't know was going to happen. But yesterday's event has made everyone on the struggle now redirect their focus. Now we know Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine are not the problem. If they managed to survive yesterday being in a room for over 2 hours, if they managed to hug more than once without boxing each other, if they managed to smile whether the smiles were fake or not, if they managed to consume the same oxygen, these two are not our problem. These two, Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine, has never been Uganda's problems. So now, let's focus, let's go back, because Museveni wanted to derail us from what is the real problem. The real problem is not Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine. This was just a distraction that they had put up. Okay, let's put Bobby Cool against Bobby Wine. You know, they've been rivals in music, and let them distract people. Now this distraction is over. The two can survive. The two can survive.
So when you say that the distraction is over, you were trying to mean that these guys are going to start working hand in hand?
No, they may not work hand in hand. Yesterday, the things I want you to pick from that, so much Bebe Cool has said about Bobby Wine, which has not been good. Oh, he wasn't beaten, he wasn't blah, blah, blah. All those things, if someone was being in pain, would anger you and make you really so bitter. What happened yesterday? Bebe Cool, before even Bobby Wine came in front of him, Bobby Wine stood up to accord him respect. Bobby Wine, in fact, was smiling like he has met a long time. The smell Bobby Wine gave Bebe Cool is the smell Bobby Wine gives me when we meet. Because when we meet, he calls me Bakana Soga, but a genuine smile of meeting a friend you've not seen for a long time. For me, I saw the genuinity of Bobby Wine. And Bobby Wine, you really see he misses his brother. He loves him. Bobby Wine showed love. And when you show love as a leader, for us now, leave alone them being artists, we are looking at elements of a leader. Bobby Wine scored leadership, mannerisms, respect. When it comes to the things you want in someone to lead you, in a family, when the father or the family, even if the father did not leave a heir, when they are choosing someone to replace your father, who do they look for? They look for a unifying factor. They look for your brother who always brings you together. A brother who listens. A brother who is a friend to everyone. That's a brother they make to be the heir. So yesterday, the respect Bobby Wine accorded Bebe Cool is enough to make us move past. Is enough. I know people who do not support Bobby Wine or Bebe Cool. They're not fans of either of them. They are on the sidelines. But yesterday, they were like, oh, people were relieved. Ugandans have been boiling up to a point where these two are going to fight each other. Bobby Wine is a professional boxer. Bebe Cool, you see, he's all built up. But Ugandans, we were waiting for the day these two are going to meet each other and exchange blows.
You know, when I talk about that, what the media was waiting for.
And that's what the media was waiting for. But I'm telling you, what happened yesterday, for me, it is a blessing in disguise. And I keep saying, in fact, Bobby Wine is serving a living God. this was gonna derail him from his cause and take him like 10 steps backwards. Because just imagine if this had dragged on for 5 months. Bebe cool Bobby Wine, Bebe cool Bobby Wine. It is time consuming, making people lose the real focus. When you look at his post he put up today, when you put on the pedestal Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool, you move away from the things affecting people. The things affecting Ugandans are graduates finishing universities every day and they cannot find jobs. Are Ugandans that are dying in Arab countries, who are being raped, who are being, turned into slaves. The things that are affecting Ugandans is the insecurity, where people are being shot and you cannot even bring up who shot people. The things that are affecting Ugandans is walking to a government hospital and you cannot find medicine. Those are the things affecting 40 million Ugandans. Bebe Cool, when he needs treatment, he can receive it. Bobby Wine, when he needs treatment, he has money to treat himself and his family. But if you derail us and take us from the cause that is affecting many Ugandans, then you're confusing us. And that has been the target. Make it become Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine's fight, and reduce even Bobby Wine, because when you reduce Bobby Wine to Bebe Cool, to fighting Bebe Cool, you're taking him away from the bigger picture. Bobby Wine is now looking at transforming Uganda, changing it. If you narrow him down to fighting Bebe Cool, you're putting him where he was 10 years ago. This guy has mentally, he has changed. He wants to save Uganda. He wants to change things in Uganda. So for me, as the people who have been waiting for the boil up, for the fight, this has cleared the air. This has cleared the air. We know very well. If Bebe Cool had slapped Bobby Wine, that would have been a different story. That would have been in the news for the
technically that's what we in the media are looking for.
Exactly.
We were always looking for fights, things that make
But at the same time, Bobby Wine, if Bobby Wine had remained seated and looked onto the other side and Bebe Cool gave him a hand and did not shake him, Bobby Wine would have lost it. But I know he's very smart, he wouldn't do that. But yesterday, for us, we read body language, we read emotion. If Bebe Cool didn't mean it or not, he played the part. It was a movie that was not rehearsed. It was a movie that was not premeditated, but it played out very well. For Ugandans who are peace lovers, we got to know these two are not our problem. They sorted out their problems. Whether he meant it, whether he was forced, he played his part the way we wanted him to play it.
Now, thank you, sir. I want to come back to the people who are watching us live on social media, Facebook, any other social media where you're watching us from. We want to say thank you so much. And we put a question. In this struggle, the struggle between Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool, Robert Kyagulanyi and Moses Sali, who is winning? Is President Museveni the winner in the struggle, or one of these two? Maybe Bebe Cool is winning, maybe Bobby Wine is winning, maybe Moses Sali is winning, or Robert Kyagulanyi is winning. Tell us what you think. Send us your comments. Give us what you think about this. The struggle between the three, because right now when you look into the media, what we show as media is Bobby Wine fighting Bebe Cool, then we have Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi fighting the president of Uganda, President Museveni. Then we have another struggle, Bebe Cool versus Moses Sali versus Bebe Cool. Tell us what you think between amongst these struggles that are going on within the country, the political sector and entertainment. Sarah, there is one most interesting part when the year was ending. These leaders came up with their messages to the people who believe in their ideas and values. We saw President Museveni coming up with a message. We saw Honorable Bobby Wine also sending back a message after getting President Museveni's message. We also remember Dr. Kizza Besigye. Now, these are the three main individuals we see in the political realm of our country. Now, President Museveni gave us something that was really somehow interesting. Wealth creation for 2019. Now, this has been for almost the last 16 years or 20 years. It has always been Operation Wealth Creation. Hakuna Mchezo, that was last year. I'm yet to find out the right term he used this time, a Swahili term for 2019. Do you pick any sense from the message that was aired by President Museveni?
By the way, I don't even watch, because for coming to this show I would prepare and watch Museveni's speech. I don't. It's there is nothing new he's going to say because he keeps repeating himself and he says the same things and nothing is being done. It is like playing some old record all over and over again. It does not make sense because he has had people write for him very good speeches. If he wants to make any sense to Ugandans right now, let him start acting. He talks too much, but he does very little or he does none. If he wants to create jobs, let's see jobs being created. We are tired of him talking. He has talked for the last 32 years and nothing has been done out of his talking. And why at this point in time he's even facing more challenges. I saw posts being pulled back from newspapers where he said in 2018 we'll be manufacturing cars. 2018 it went, we don't even have a bicycle, we cannot even manufacture a bicycle. If Museveni wants to even have the next 2-3 years easy for him, he needs to start acting. When you see, look at what is happening in Bank of Uganda. Bank of Uganda is not a Bank of Uganda, it is a bank of individuals. This is the bank that is supposed to moderate and handle the economy. It is the economy, it runs the economy of the country. But when you see all what is happening in Bank of Uganda, it is enough to tell you, and it's not going to do anything. Guys have divided Bank of Uganda and they portioned it. People have taken over banks, people have taken over money. The problem he has right now, he's talked so much. 32 years he's been talking. He has failed to act.
Well, he talked about infrastructure, he talked about roads, he talked about electricity, that these are some of the major things that if an economy does not work on, there won't be like any kind of success. And do you think really President Museveni is a problem for Uganda's underdevelopment or the corruption?
Uganda is not only underdeveloped. Uganda is among underdeveloped because it's among the 10 poor countries in the world. When you talk about electricity, when electricity in Uganda costs more than electricity, Uganda imports power to Kenya and Rwanda. But Kenya, the electricity is cheaper than in Uganda.
President Museveni knows.
What are you trying to do exactly? You import electricity for simple use of common sense. If I'm going to import electricity, it should be even more expensive where we import it because they are importing it from us. But in Uganda, the producers of electricity are paying more money than people who import it. Kenyans pay less than Ugandans, yet Ugandans produce the electricity. So he's not, but again, when you look at the distribution of electricity in Uganda, how much is it distributed? You still have areas that are towns, that are even districts without electricity. So if you talk about electricity that Uganda, if you just even come around Kampala alone, you find still Kampala, you have streets that are not lit, areas that would expect to be, well lit, they are not. So, and for 32 years, if you're still talking about electricity, when you have some other areas in the country that are not even have access to electricity, that, that song should stop. Maybe they should resort to solar energy because they have a lot of sun throughout the year for 365 days. Maybe you should resort to that because people are consuming electricity expensively, yet the people they are selling to get it at a cheaper price. And then when you talk about roads, I've just been, just look at how many accidents have just happened on the express highway. They have failed to build roads that meet the international standards. Right now, Uganda would be building 6 lanes, 8 lanes roads if you're building roads right now in the 21st century. Why are you still having 2 lanes?
So the president, in his speech, and I would read from what he said, he celebrated how the army is performing in the country in terms of NADS, that they are in position to distribute close to 5 million seedlings of coffee, 1 million seedlings of tea, and 350,000 seedlings of fruits in just 3 months. That was how the army performed. So that tells us that maybe the president is not the problem, but the people he always sends. Why is it the army performing and yet these officials are not?
Where,
the president.
Where are the results? When you supplied coffee, did it grow? Because when you supply seeds, we want to see the seeds grow. We want to see the production of coffee being improved in the country. if you give people coffee seedlings and they do not even have money to buy fertilizers, they do not have water to irrigate their plants, they do not have the things needed to make the coffee grow, you're wasting time. It is not a matter of giving people seedlings of coffee. It's the same as saying we gave, you've seen situations where they've given people beans for planting and people end up eating the beans they were given to plant because they don't have food at home. So the issue is, for the last 32 years, as much as I'm telling you, when you surround yourself, because Museveni alone is not the problem. The problem is the institutions that are non-functional, and is entirely responsible for that. Because when people are corrupt and you keep rotating them from one office to another, you're the problem. Just tell me one Ugandan who has been fully convicted and his properties or properties confiscated by government for stealing.
The most interesting part is about corruption, that there's some people who actually advocate for corruption to be legalized to end it. If you're talking about corruption, some people are saying it should be legalized to end corruption. Because today, actually, Kano Bantariza said that we cannot eliminate corruption as long as we're still living in a capitalistic economy.
You cannot eliminate corruption if you still live in a regime where everyone believes in stealing. I've given you examples. In Rwanda, try to steal. Rwanda is a young country compared to Uganda. Rwanda, they've just recovered from a war. How comes Rwanda is able to fight corruption, Uganda cannot? You think Rwanda lives on Mars? They're not using any rocket science. They just put up measures, and they just put up measures that work. You steal behind bars. But you cannot fight corruption when you rotate the thieves. When people who have been stealing, nothing is done. I'm telling you, if people who were stealing money, they lost all their properties. How much money do you steal? 10 billion. You lose everything you have. All the houses, everything you have, they take them, but repossess them and collect back the money. You will curb corruption. But what is stealing and taking someone to Luzira for 5 years and they come back and find their massive wealth? It doesn't make sense. So if Rwanda can fight corruption, which is a young country, because Rwanda, look at it from the type, Rwanda before the war, take it away, it was destroyed. How comes Kagame, and I'm telling you, Rwanda even would have been worse, because Rwanda from the war, everyone in government came up with looting and stealing and, you know, getting everything they lost. If Rwanda can curb corruption, why can't Uganda curb corruption?
Maybe it's a form of governance that is changing the trend of our country. That
you need, for you to stop corruption in Uganda, you need to uproot Museveni and his entire lot. It is like a cassava plant. Dig it up and take all the roots from the ground. Make sure nothing is left. Take off the cassava, eat it, give the remains, give the peelings and all that to the cows to eat them. You know, uproot everything. And when you get the cassava sticks, go and burn them. Dry them and burn them. Uproot everything. Uproot everything. I'm telling, because let me tell you one thing. When government changes, Museveni and his entire lot, they will start running off. Because they know. And when you get a leader who is able to hold them accountable, they are going to run off. All of them are going to run off. And that's why you see up to now, they're clinging onto power, because they've amassed too much wealth and they're not willing to just lose it.
This is a term that I was looking for what he used as a slogan for 2019. It says, Mandeleo na Mali. It's a Swahili word. So my pronunciation may not be actually clear. But it says, according to him, and quote, the slogan in this coming year must be development and wealth creation. Mandeleo na Mali. Each homestead must have wealth in a modern sense with commercial activities for money and food security. That's the present. Now I don't want you to go there straight away. Let me go to the people who are watching us live on Facebook. We want to thank you so much for being part of our shows every day. Send us your comments, send us your questions. We are receiving them, and very soon we are going to come back and focus on the questions and the comments that you guys are trying to put up. But we do believe that changes are going on in our country, that are going on in Uganda. For people who are living in Uganda,
they know what is really exactly happening. For us, we get the news. People like Sarah travel back and come and tell us what is going on. But we want to say thank you so much for being part of the programs that we always air on Campfire Talk Show, Campfire TV, Life MTV, and thank you for joining Uganda at Crossroads. Sarah, I'm back to you.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that I'm going to start with a song. Away from the politics of President Museveni, politics of Bobby Wine, politics of Dr. Kizza Besigye, based on the messages they gave out, they were all promising. President Museveni was saying that this year is going to be a development and
it is not promising. He's just repeating what he has been saying and doesn't make sense. That's why there is nothing new he's saying.
Dr. Besigye said, maybe the regime is ending this year. Now, that's not new. He has said that over and over and over. That's not new. Bobby Wine comes up and also says, Museveni must go. And we are not, he used a certain Uganda term, which I've forgotten right now, but he said, we are competing, a peaceful competition for this seat. When I think President Museveni went against him indirectly, Bobby Wine responded by saying, we are competing peacefully. What do you pick from that?
You know, there is, any government can end at any time. There are no timelines. Because you could be waiting for 2021. If you see what is happening right now, there are fights happening in Congo. And from yesterday, I was watching CNN America. America has already sent over 80,000 troops. And they're in Gabon, watching what is happening. And when it escalates, they're going to go in to protect its citizens who are living there and their embassies. And when America goes into Congo, because already they are in Gabon, 80,000 army officers have already been sent in Gabon watching what is happening in Congo. If it escalates, they move in. And the moment they move in,
would that be of an impact to Uganda? Does that change anything?
No, but again, what you must know is change. It can be an impact, especially when, because what is happening in Congo right now, there is violence. There is a violence after after an election. There is violence happening right now, and America is moving in because of the violence happening right now in Congo. So what I'm trying to say is, before even an election happens, if there is an uprising of, you saw what happened in. I've been on and off what is happening in Sudan.
With Omar Bashir?
Yeah, Omar Bashir. I don't know if he has taken over or if he stood down, but anything can happen at any time.
So we should expect 2019 to be
it may not be 2019
to celebrate
it may not be
of President Museveni, or should
the celebration. You're not going to celebrate yet until you have a new government. So you hold on to your celebration. But what I'm saying, anything can happen. Anything can happen, and it could cause a substantial change. Right now, President Museveni prides that he has the army into his palm.
Right.
The army could start the uprising, because the biggest mistake he has done is you have the army, because right now the army has been largely involved in politics. But the biggest mistake he has done, these army officers, these guys he has involved into this active politics, are as poor as the Ugandans they are oppressing. These army officers are still earning 200,000. They have no house. They sleep in the most terrible situations. Go into those imports they sleep in. If you wanted to use the army and own it 100%, he would make them live in luxury. He would give them the benefits. He would make, if you want to use people for a long time, make them comfortable. For example, Museveni can use Bebe Cool as much as he wants. Bebe Cool can go into State House and get 300 million. Do you think those army officers get 300 million?
No, but if I may ask you, Sarah, especially concerning the army and the government, President Museveni has the constitutional authority over the army, right, as the head of the army forces or the security forces in the country. So technically, he does not own these forces, but he's constitutionally given the right to be the commander-in-chief.
The army also has They are mandates for the army. The army, if you're telling me you're stopping Bobby Wine show and you bring the army, they are completely doing a different role from what the army are meant to protect the citizens of the country. If the army are involved in brutalizing, in violating the rights of citizens by beating them, then what army are you talking about? Then the army have moved away from doing their civic duty. The duty of the army that is under the Constitution, they've diverted it away from it. If the army is now doing the role of the police, because in Uganda right now it is hard to know which is the police, which is the army, because the army has completely taken over the police and they are doing the role of the police. So they have lost the army. You know, when you professionalize the army, I'll just give you an example. How often do you find, have you ever found the US Army on the streets?
No, rarely. Rarely do I find any. Yeah, rarely.
Have you ever found, we've had situations of cases. Let's say the Charlotte, we had that nationalist. Did the army come up?
Yep.
You think they weren't there?
Well, I think, when you use the example of USA, maybe they are organized in special forces. We have the FBI, we have the SWAT, we have different departments, which of course actually Ghana also has different departments.
Exactly.
CIDs and all that. Probably the question would be, who is responsible for what?
That's the problem. That you don't have that, because let's say the army is meant to protect the people. Why are army involved even in evictions? When you see all the evictions of land that has been happening, it is the army, it is the military in red top, evicting and beating up people. What are they doing there? That is not the role. That is not the role of the army. That is not the role of the army. Why is police involved in evicting and brutalizing Ugandans?
So does that take us that 2019? Now this is going to be a yes or no. A yes or no question. Do you think President Museveni is going to be out in 2019?
He may not be out. You cannot. President Museveni could die in 2019. He could even die today. He's not God. He could die today.
Right. So let me.
So I'm telling you, there is no and you can. He's not immortal. He's not eternal. He does not own Uganda. He could just have a heart attack and he doesn't wake up. So it could be tomorrow. It could be today. It could be any time. But the question would be, are Ugandans ready for change? Are Ugandans really ready? The answer I'll give you 100%. Ugandans are desperately ready.
For change.
We've had situations where people have said, oh, you're talking because you're in the diaspora. You are saying, yes, I'm talking because I'm in the diaspora and I'm not even scared to say whatever I say because no one is going to arrest me. So I know that. But at the same time, why we keep talking and why we keep adding our voice. I keep telling people, you do not know how much it is hard for me to save money because of the black tax. I'm a victim. I am telling you, every week you get phone calls from relatives left and right. Jaja, Senga, Koja. You're overwhelmed. I'm like, when am I going to keep money for myself? When are people getting jobs in Uganda? When are people having jobs in Uganda? When is someone in Uganda going to send me money and say, you know what? I've just put on Western Union $100 for you. Right? No, $100 for you is enough. It is, I'm telling you, it is too much for us. Everyone is looking at you as someone to solve their problems. You cannot even believe you have people who are just friends, who expect you to pay school fees for their kids, when the landlord is evicting me, so many things. So if we don't talk about the issues that happen in Uganda, we are also being affected. Yes, I'm not facing the problems people say they are facing on their side, but I'm telling you, it is hurting my wallet on a daily basis, because when people are jobless, who do they turn to? They think, Sarah is in America, so she has money. So it is affecting me. I'm working more than I'm supposed to work. I'm doing overtime shifts just because I have to meet my needs on this other side, and I have to meet the needs on the other side, because as some people, I don't want to disappoint them. They are looking at me and I'm all they have. So if we don't raise up our voices and say enough is enough, we would love to have a Uganda where you've paid school fees for your brother and sister and they graduate and have a job and you have a breather as well. But you pay school fees for people, they graduate from university and you start paying for their rent. They get a girlfriend, she becomes pregnant, you start paying for medical bills of the girlfriend.
Right.
They give birth, you start paying school fees for the child. You have nothing about.
Now, there's some theories that have come up before that maybe somehow Ugandans or African people are lazy, they don't want to work, and the government says they have tried to create employment opportunities. President Museveni on several occasions has come out to say that when we ask Ugandans to give us land, to invite more investments, Ugandans say no, and they want more employment opportunities. What would be your reaction to that? Because
government has land. Why doesn't government use the land the government has? They have a lot of land. They have a lot of land. Government has a lot of, the excuses have been many and they've been used over and over again. So they cease even to make sense. Because when you bring, for example, you have Chinese selling pancakes in Kampala. Why are Chinese making pancakes? Ugandans can make pancakes. You have Chinese making Rolex in Kampala. Why are they doing the jobs, even the little jobs common Ugandans should be doing? And with the influx of Chinese entering Uganda, you're going to find Chinese selling, now taking over Nakasero market, selling tomatoes, doing the simple jobs Ugandans are doing. Why are Chinese selling pancakes? Just give me one reason. Why are Chinese in Uganda selling pancakes?
So, well, personally, I would put it to government failure to implement its duties. And secondly, I would say diversity.
No, it can't be diversity because you have these investors coming. Some of these investors are even more poor. People come from their countries and I'm telling you, sometimes people look, I'm going to say this, but if you want to see racism, go to African countries. People look at these Chinese and worship them, yet they are so poor. Why are you worshiping a Chinese selling pancakes? A man, if he is to go and leave China and come to Uganda and start selling pancakes, is even worse than you. Why? They shouldn't even be in Uganda. But it comes with that racial, they are white and black.
So maybe there is some kind of improvement that we can accommodate each and everyone?
No, you cannot. Already you have a population that is unemployed. Why are Chinese selling pancakes? Let them go and sell them in China. They have over 1 billion people.
Speaking about it, the pancakes and China, I want to ask our producer to play for us the latest song that came from Bobby Wine. And most of our answers that we are going to be talking about are going to start from there. Engule to Yamba Engule. It's going to be answering so many of the questions that I think you're going to answer the questions that people are going to pose here on social media, plus some of those that I will ask you about. Let me ask the producer to play for me Tuyamba Engule song. So I think I've just been notified that they're still fixing something. They can play it sometime to come. Sarah, the questions that have been going on over the time is, what are the strategies of people power? I do understand you are an advocate for change. And most of the things that have been going on in our country,
without breaking it down, I've seen people asking for manifestos. You're running 100 steps. These are baby steps. The most important strategy right now would be sensitizing. You have people, when people are enslaved for a long time, people get to a stage where they feel they've seen it all. There are people who do not, people are used to their situations and conditions that they've given up and surrendered and said, God, this is what you planned for me. There are people who go without a meal and they still smile because they've surrendered to the situation and say, it happened last year, even this year, it is okay. But it's never okay. So sensitizing people deep down to the grassroots. You have a lot of work to do from the grassroots for people to know and accept, yes, your situation is bad, but it can be changed. Some people, when they stay long in a situation, they are comfortable. A woman who has been in a relationship where she's being beaten for a long time, she begins to confuse that for love. yet she's being brutalized. She's being violated. Because it's happening over and over again, she begins to assume this man loves me. But someone violating you domestically has never been love. So Ugandans need to understand that they need change. Uganda needs to understand, why are we advocating for change? Why are we talking people power? Ugandans need, because when you start making statements that the power belongs to the people, people need to understand that indeed, because Ugandans have had the 32 rule of President Museveni, where the power belongs to those in power. Now you have to make people understand. Those are behavior changes people have to go through into contemplation. You know, behavior change has 5 stages. You have pre-contemplation, contemplation, you have people thinking about it, you have people taking action, and people, you know, maintaining the idea. So you have Ugandans that are still in the pre-contemplation stage. They do not know whether change is good for them. There are some Ugandans who still think, they are comfortable with sleeping. There are Ugandans who go without a meal and they, at least I'm still alive. You need to awaken those people and same idea. You can also get to a stage where you can have 3 meals a day. You can also get to a stage where you can live in a decent house. You can also get to a stage where you can educate your children and have a job. People, just like I've told you, when people live in enslavement for a very long time, they begin to compromise and say, I think this is where we belong.
So Bobby Wine and Baby Cool, whatever the case, the story has been all over. Now, looking into the strategies of people power, the main concern has always been education, infrastructure, the politics itself in terms of governance or management. What comes to you? What strategies basically? How is people power? What do you see in people power bringing in case Museveni is gone?
One, you know, when they say power belongs to the people, now you have people making leaders accountable, because what you have right now, you have people who cannot make leaders accountable. Have a better say in a government, that eviction wouldn't have happened. Those people would have been compensated. But you live in a country where power rotates around those in the masses who would have the say, the masses who would make situations change, have nothing to do. I'll give you an example of developed countries. Any mistake you make, for example, in America, any mistake, are we on air? Any mistake you make as a senator, as a congressperson, or as an individual standing in a bigger office, you ought to pay for it. I think this is one of the countries where people are very careful with what they say, are very careful with what they do. So when power comes back to the people, you have people making their leaders walk on their tiptoes. Leaders know in any mistake I do, they become more accountable. They know I'm not working for myself. I'm working for the good of the people. You'll have medicine. You'll have people being accountable for the medicines in the hospital. You'll have people being accountable to why universities are not performing. You'll have people being accountable to why we cannot have jobs created in the country. You have people being accountable to why we have fake investors selling pancakes in Kampala. All those Chinese selling pancakes will run off.
That's right.
Because people themselves because people are not going to watch pancakes being sold by Chinese. People are not going to watch Chinese doing all the old jobs they are doing, because the government belongs to them, and it should be the citizens first.
Let me ask the producer to play for me the song to Yambalengule. I think that's what I want to base before we conclude the show. I want to get to know about the song to Yambalengule, what it says, and we'll dig deep into it.
big that this beautiful nation will again experience the oppression of one by another and bear the indignity of being the skunk of the world. Yaga 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 ya. Uduchalo ngaluwete tuliyambale kule, tuliyambale kule, tuliyambale kule. Uduchalo ngaluwete tuliyambale kule, tulivimba mu Uganda. Tuliyambala, tuliyambala, tuliyambala. Kule zima samasa. Uduchalo
Sozenga buwedde tuliyambale kule menzinga ewedde tuliyambale kule nekibataka nga kiwedde tuliyambale kule tulivimba mu Uganda siyagasi nga wedde tuliyambale wanatemalira nga buwedde tuliyambale kule obukenuzi nga bugeze tuliyambale tufugisa mundu nsensubize mukwanga ey'amazima n'owekanya nsensubize tuliyumirwa Uganda kale n'ofuna endaga muntu osobola okwebereramu n'okukyusa ebikunyiga ago amaanyi tugalina era mikopa wange wangudde tuliyambale kule tulinyumirwa Uganda
omusolo nga gugendedde
tuliyambale kule
abalimi nga bafunye akatale
tuliyambale kule
nga mu nsi olina eddembe
tuliyambale kule tulivimba mu Uganda
empya
amalwaliro nga gateredde
tuliyambale kule
nga tetukyavanga tuzaala
tuliyambale kule
nga buli kikyamu kiteredde tulivimba mu Uganda
mukozesa mirembe temulwana
tuliyambale kule
mwenna muli baana ba Luhanga
tuliyambale kule
bannayuganda tuli baluganda
tuliyambale kule tulinyumirwa Uganda
Thank you and welcome you back from that song and short break. This song really explains a lot. And Sarah, you're going to tell us much more about this song because the many questions, not only me asking you, but even the universe. I want to go straight away. Is Bobby Wine aiming at the presidential seat? You're a friend to him.
He could be.
Does that make him?
My microphone seems to be off.
Okay, so is Bobby Wine standing as a president?
He could be because from what you've seen, I think he has all the elements of a leader. I think he's one person who can unify Ugandans and bring them together. He has and I'm telling you, anyone can be president. You can be president. Anyone can be president. But at least one of the things we've seen about him, he has elements of unifying. When you come from a rule of a dictatorship for 32 years, you need someone who is going to unify people, no matter the tribe, no matter, someone who's going to bring people together and move forward. So he has those elements and that make a good leader. So he can be president. And going back on this, I really, really loved the Tuliyambale Ngule song. Though I saw people like, I'll take it back. I saw people like Sempa.
No, I don't want to go there fast.
No, I'm going to jump on it.
Because I want us to sit on that and look into it. But I wanted to just start from here.
No, I'm going to break it down from how people received it.
Just as you've said.
Yeah.
Let's go in there.
Sempa.
Not only Pastor Sempa, many religious leaders have come out to criticize it.
None of those religious leaders owns the song. None of them is a composer of the song. None of them has copyright of the song. So the best they can do is to keep quiet. Sempa is irrelevant. So, you know, one of the things you must notice, when people have no relevance, they really try to jump onto things that give them irrelevance. When did you last see of Sempa? I think I last heard about him 10 years ago. Now he's been dead, he's looking for a way to resurrect himself. And people love doing that. I'm telling you, one of the vices Bobby Wine, that is around Bobby Wine, so many dead people want to resurrect by using his name. So many. Take away the song, you claiming it is a Christian song. Look at the message in the song. The message is really important. The messages in the song is what affects every Ugandan. People graduate every day, but there are no jobs. There is corruption. The police officers on the roads, the traffic officers are the most corrupt. If, for example, a police officer stopped you and instead of arresting you, gave you an element. I've seen people criticize Bugembe. Bugembe is singing about unity. He's saying, you know, as much as you all from different political sides, we can as well live peacefully and be together. People have failed to listen to that. That's why I'm telling you, some of these leaders or religious leaders are so shallow. I saw even people criticizing the video. For me, the issue, by the way, this song did not need an expensive video. The video is just enough. We needed something to give us a visual of the people behind the song, and it is perfect. It didn't need a budget of 10 million. I'm telling you it was enough. Whether they worked on a budget of 1 million, the visual we see is enough. The message is the most important thing in the song. So the people like Sempa, who have failed to come up and talk about when Ugandans are being brutalized, the Sempas are quiet. I did not hear Sempa talking about the women who are being murdered and raped on Entebbe Road. Sempa was quiet. These pastors, for all the things that have been happening in Uganda, when all these murders, Chirumira and all that, the pastors were quiet. Were they talking?
No.
They were quiet. Now when it comes to song, none of them composed. They are making noise. And most of them, all these pastors, they have the most poorest congregations. They've gotten rich at the expense of the people they claim to be pastoring. Go to these churches. Most of the local churches in Kampala have the poorest congregations. People are feeding on hopes, and people are selling stuff in church expensively. People are selling pens, people are selling handkerchiefs, a handkerchief you buy in Kampala for 500, in church people are buying it at 50,000. I hear they're buying a blessing. These are the biggest buffet you have around that have contributed 100% at making people poor. I have seen people going off medicine for HIV being claimed I'm healed in the name of Jesus. I lost my own auntie to diabetes. My own auntie.
Maybe
no, I'm telling you, my own
maybe
auntie.
She never had faith.
My own aunt had been with diabetes for the last 15 years. She ends up being drugged in a church where they told her she was healed. She left medicine. In 2 months, she was gone.
Maybe she lacked some faith, as Pastor say.
For 15 years, she has been on medication and living. In 2 months, she was gone. So this craziness, and these are people who keep quiet when there are serious things that are affecting Ugandans. Because if you're going to criticize Bobby Wine for using a Christian song, you claim, with the very good message that affects all Ugandans, when it comes to the things that affect Ugandans are critical, why are you quiet?
So, you know, when I look at this song, there is a part where he said, when the people power wins, we shall put on those grounds. So that should make Ugandans believe that people power is going to win elections?
No. Either, you know, when you take a government that has been a dictatorship out of power, the best thing you would want a government that works for the people. Right now you have a government that doesn't work for the people. This is a government that works for a few Ugandans. That's why you're going to find in situations, go into URA, go into those government institutions, guys who are not educated, guys who are having degrees gotten from NASA Road are the ones occupying those jobs. The guys who really went to school, spent 3-5 years in school, are on the streets. A guy is having a job just because the uncle is the boss. And where did he get his degree from? I know someone who was working in some organization, but he got his degree from NASA Road. And he was earning this hefty salary. But people who have sweated and gone to school cannot even earn 100,000 a month. So when you have a government that works for people, you're not going to get a degree from NASA Road and enter any institution and start working there.
I think people really supported your cause when you said these pastors are just joking around. And
no, they have the poorest congregation. I am telling you, they have the poorest congregation. People are feeding on hopes and promises, and they've mastered reading out the verses in the Bible. You know the blessing is going to come to you. You know, and you see, I don't care about them stealing. They've mastered and micromanaged the brains of Ugandans. You know, people sit in these churches, they have no meal. Someone.
So you're like
people, I'm telling you, and this is not, I'm not even lying. People go to these churches, someone has no food at home. Someone will get, children are going back to school. Someone is going to give their children school fees.
To get a blessing.
To get a blessing. And the kid is going to sit for the whole term.
So you were, now when I put it back to the song, you were in support of Pastor Simeon Kaiwa. Because he came out, he was one of the...
He's very right. Why are they making noise now? When it comes to the big issues affecting Ugandans, why are pastors tired? First of all, they're not taxed. The churches in Uganda don't pay taxes. These guys are driving the hefty cars. You find a pastor has 10 cars in their compound. Their congregations are coming on borders, on bicycles. When it comes to the things that affect Ugandans, where are the pastors? How many pastors talked about the eviction in Lusanja?
Yeah.
How many? Did you see any pastor talking about the eviction in Lusanja?
Should we put it this way, that maybe these pastors are getting a leave from
No, they don't. They don't say anything to the regime because the pastors are not taxed.
What does that mean to you? Because
they are getting, have you ever, people in Uganda, all businesses pay taxes. These pastors are getting thousands and thousands of shillings from Ugandans and doing their personal businesses at the benefit of Ugandans. These pastors are building churches. I am telling you, go to all these churches. All these churches, who contribute to buy the churches? There is a contribution. When you pay into the fund, if you sow into building the church, you're going to get a blessing. Look at the titles of the church. The churches are built by the congregation, but the titles are in the names of a single individual.
Isn't that progress?
We built the church as a congregation. It is money you've been collecting from us, but the land title on this beautiful church is in the name of a mere pastor, one individual. Why isn't it in a company that belongs to the church, the congregation, where they partake of it? Everyone partakes of it. But if they are enjoying the loopholes the government has left them to enjoy, that's why they are keeping quiet. They don't pay taxes. They cheat their people. Fake blessings, fake miracles, and all that. Things are happening every day. I've seen some pastors like Pastor Iga. And he's been left to operate.
I want to stop you from there, and I want to read from MP Mubiru James Rubaga North. He says, I'm not comfortable in attacking pastors because not all pastors are bad. let's attack individuals, not the whole. So what is that they tell us? That some pastors are good because, for example,
they are good ones. But I'm telling you, if the bad ones are coming up to shout, we'll attack the whole, you know. If the good, because I don't understand where you differentiate the good and the bad when all of them, even the good ones, when it comes to things that are affecting the people of God, you all keep quiet. What makes you good if you cannot talk about the injustices that are happening to the people of God? We are all people of God. People in Lusanja were evicted from their land. None of the pastors, even the good or bad, said anything. They were all quiet. But when it comes to just a mere song that has a very good message, you hear all of them coming up and claiming, oh, that's a Balokole song, oh, that's a Balokole song.
You know, it's very interesting.
No, because, let's just use common sense. It doesn't make sense. If I know they are good pastors,
right,
but they cease to be good, the fact that when things that oppress Ugandans are happening and they choose to keep quiet just because they do not want to be antagonized by the regime, because they don't pay taxes, they earn free, they get their money, they earn where they do not reap. I'm telling you, I'm a very good, I'm entirely a very good communicator.
Yeah, you are.
I can start up a church in Uganda the next day and mint money from people.
That's right.
You don't need a degree, you don't need to go to school. You just have to be very good at lying, you just have to have very good communication skills, and then you're good to go.
I was going to ask you something, but you've actually put me there. Pastors right now are complaining about the government coming up with theology classes or technical classes. They need to. In fact, in Rwanda, any pastor without Isn't that attacking the Bible or the church?
There's nothing like taking over, because you have so many people that are in it. I will tell you one thing. You have, because most of the people are into witchcraft. They're witch doctors. People don't want to be seen going into shrines, but people are comfortable walking in witch. The witch doctors now became pastors.
I think that the government should also come up with maybe
they fail to regulate
witch doctors.
They fail to regulate the whatever it's called, the pastors, whatever they are in Uganda. But for me, the issue is not even the regulation. They can keep stealing from the stupid ones, people who go to them. If you cannot sieve between good and right, if they tell you to give your child school fees and you get a blessing 10 times and your child sits home for the whole term, it is your problem. You don't use your brains. But for me, my issue here are pastors coming up to make noise over a song that has a powerful message. Which song they did not compose. If they compose a song, let them take Bobby Wine to court. My issue is, why are they quiet when it comes to the things that affect Ugandans?
Let me ask you a question, sir. In that song, there is a part where King Saha said, when taxes are reduced, in other words, let me quote,
yeah.
How is the country going to develop when taxes are low?
No, the issue is not taxes being low. The issue is over-taxation. There is, for example, double taxation in Uganda. I studied, taxation. There is double taxation. For example, the OTT tax. There is taxation on top of taxation. You cannot double tax. Even in the laws of taxation, it is completely wrong. Ugandans have been taken for a ride. You're overtaxed, leave alone, there is overtaxing, that's one thing. But you cannot put a tax on top of a tax. That is what is happening. If you want to increase tax, increase it. But don't overtax. You cannot tax people. For example, I cannot tax you tax you two times on the shirt you're wearing. Because Ugandans are already paying taxes on the data and airtime they're using, and then you put on that OTT. That is double taxation. If you wanted to make money, increase the taxes you get you charge on data and airtime. But when you double tax them already when they are paying a tax on top of a tax, it doesn't make sense. That's a complaint. The issue is not, no one wants any government to stop paying taxes. You pay taxes.
Right.
The issue is people paying taxes and you don't see even what the taxes do.
But we are seeing roads. Last year, 2018, there was a celebration of the new bridge. The government also said
the new bridge you're talking about, the top layer is already run off. In less than a month, the top layer has already run off. So that means they didn't do a very effective work. Uganda, where it is right now, you would be having much better. You would be having a lot better. Look at even the roads you're talking about. You're still constructing 2 lanes roads. Yet even other countries, go to Kenya, go to Rwanda, they've gone to, they've expanded to 4 lanes, 6 lanes. In Uganda, why are they still constructing 2-lane roads? Because that's part of the congestion. If you want to grow an economy, if you want to expand the roads, stop constructing the roads they constructed in the 20th century. Move on. Rwanda, Kenya are constructing the 4-lane roads to improve transportation and all that. But you're still where you were 20 years ago. So it doesn't make sense. Taxes are good. I don't mind. You literally, you pay taxes on each and everything. But we are looking at, what does the taxes do? Where does the money go? Where does the money go when it is taxed? When you have the president coming to Kampala because there is chaos, he's all scared of the youth and giving away 500 million not accounted for.
Again, speaking of that, I think the president was successful in his move because
he wasn't.
There was a tension that was coming up.
Why is the accountability for that money? Who are the, if you know the things he's good at doing, is good at doing short-term things that are not going to yield long-term. I'm telling you, the people who took that money are as angry today as those who never took the money. So when you start doing short-term, control over long-term damages, you're not helping. If that money he had put it, for example, in a proper circle, where people in a proper way would go in, borrow the money, take it back in proper structure so that it can benefit also other people. But when you start doing short-term damages, you don't benefit because the people you gave money in September, they don't have money today. What are you going to do?
Let me take you back a little bit to the song. Again, let me read from, I think MP Mobili James, I think he's running, or he's already MP, or I think he's running for a seat in Uganda North. Now, on the issue of the pastors versus the song, and the other issues, he says, personally, I don't front that bill against the church because we can't limit the power of the Holy Spirit. It should be noted that Apostle Peter, who the Catholics believe in highly as the first pope, had no religious qualifications, but he did a tremendous work for the body of Christ. Personally, I think laws are there to eliminate fake pastors.
It should be able to, whether you put some courses in theology, it should be able to eliminate. For example, I'll give an example in America. You cannot just become a pastor.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to go to school. You cannot just become, I cannot wake up and say, people go to school and study.
So isn't it war taking over the church?
No, you have witch doctors taking over the church in Uganda because they cannot make money as witch doctors. Now they immediately, because you look at, they are very calculative. Is it easier for Sarah to enter a shrine or a church? No. Sarah would prefer being seen in a church. I can still do what I used to do. Then you start up a church and you need to control that. By the way, my issue is not even that. They can do whatever they do. I'm not a victim of that. For me, my issue is if they are going to keep quiet on issues of national importance, when it comes to simple issues like Bobby Wine using a Christian song with a powerful message that affects every Ugandan, if they cannot talk about the murders, they should also keep quiet about the song because none of them composed it. If any of those pastors complaining, if the song belongs to Sempa, let him go to court.
Actually, the song belongs to nobody.
Exactly. If the song belongs to Sempa, let him go to court because he will be the composer, he will have the copyright to the song. No one has copyright to the song, anyone can use it.
So, is this song the answer to the questions? Where are the strategies of people power movement? Is it the answer to the question?
It cannot be the answer. You have to use every tool around you. And when you're going to effect change, you have to use every tool around you and you have to use all communication ways. If now using that song you can cut across the Christian people who does not listen to secular music but can listen to that song and hear the message and understand it, you have to use every tool at your disposal. 32 years, I keep telling people, 32 years of President Museveni is not stupid. He's a very intelligent man. It takes someone who is intelligent to rule people for 32 years.
It's very interesting. Actually, I had tried to skip this, but it's Ofono Pondo recently, as I think the year was ending, was starting. He happened to have arrested his brother for supporting People Power movement. Now, what I see in that is, don't you think People Power movement is dividing now families? Now we see Ofono Pondo arresting his brother.
Is it the first time? Do you know Tumukunde is related to Janet?
Right.
Did Museveni arrest Tumukunde and put him in jail?
Yes, that he did.
I've answered your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. If Museveni arrested Tumukunde and put him in jail, yet Tumukunde is related to Janet, what are you talking about? Do you know Museveni's brothers, apart from Sally? Don't you think Museveni has killed his brothers before?
So it's not new.
That is nothing new. Definitely, that is not even an issue to be talked about. If Mukunde went to jail, yet is related to Janet, what are you talking about?
So was it a right move for Ofono Pondo to arrest his brother just because he put a comment on social media that does not
Opondo wants to score? Because let me tell you one thing. As much as Museveni is a problem, even the guys around him are a bigger problem. Museveni is at a stage where he's surrounded by vultures. The people around Museveni are more dangerous than even Museveni himself. The people around Museveni, I'm repeating, are more dangerous than even Museveni himself. Because these guys cannot let what they've rooted just go.
Is that a submission that the president is a good guy?
I'm not saying he's a good guy, but I'm saying he's surrounded by vultures. Because there are certain things the president says or does, and you wonder, does he have a PR team around him? Does he have, for example, there are statements Museveni has made, and you see contrary to what has been happening. And you wonder who is feeding him this information, because he has a team who lie to him a lot. And he does not use the chance to understand this information before he puts it out. Because on many occasions he has put out the wrong information. And I guess it has been given to him by those around him or who are in charge of his media. Now Ofono Pondo arresting his brother, he wants to show Museveni that he's so macho that even he can kill his own family for him. He wants to show that movement is in his own blood, that even he can kill his own family. He wants to score. He wants to score. Maybe in the next reshuffle, he was going to be thrown away. So arresting his own brother and putting him in jail, he's trying to show Museveni, man, I'm so loyal to you, better keep me in this place. You cannot just dump me just like that. Because what is his relevancy now? What is making him relevant right now is him arresting his brother. And Ofono Pondo can even kill his brother. Because they just want to score. They just want to show the big man, I'm with you, I can do anything. I can do anything, because they're looking for political scores, that's it.
Okay, that's a very interesting point. For you who is watching us right now on Facebook and different social media platforms, please send us more comments. We are taking notice of each and every comment that is coming in, and we thank you for sharing our programs. We ask you always to join us on all our shows. We have Love, Sex and Money that is coming up next after this show. We have Divine Moments that comes early in the morning. We have Campfire Talk Show, Uganda at Crossroads, and different individuals come in and share their ideas, what they feel about Uganda, what they think can be done for Uganda to transform, and many questions that come from you viewers make a lot of sense to whoever reads them and whoever tries to answer them. So we expect progress come this year, towards the end of this year, 2019. There are so many things that we do actually expect to happen. Now, Sarah, before the show ends, of course, at the end of the show, we are going to play Tuliyamba Lengule again, because personally I love the song. I like the song. Not because I do subscribe to People Power or I do subscribe to the opposition, in other words, the NRM or anything, but I like the message in the song. They talked so much about taxes in the song. They talked about the women giving birth without death, you know. This song, when I asked you earlier in the show, what are the strategies of People Power?
I told you two things. One, the role should be to sensitize. I have clearly told you there are people who have given up and they've allowed to be in the situation they are in. There are people who have surrendered and said, God, I think you created me to be poor. I think, God, you created me to be jobless. I think, God, you created me to be in a situation I am in. There are people who have given up. And when people get to a stage of giving up, you need to awaken them and give them hope and say, yes, we can. Yes, it is possible. Yes, you can get a job. I have people I know in Kampala. When I was still in Kampala, I interacted with a guy who had a master's degree, but he was a border rider. But he looked for jobs until when he got tired. After his bachelor's, he looked for jobs, he got tired. He thought maybe if he upgrades, he will be able to get a job. He went and did his master's. He has not been able to find a job. So he resorted to doing border. He put his degree and the knowledge he had accumulated at management level into border. So he started with one, bought another, and then started having riders and managing them. That is what is happening. Border is not bad, but you wouldn't want someone with a master's degree to be riding border. Why spend 6 years in school just to be reduced to a border rider? There should be jobs for everyone. In terms of specialization of labor, there are people who should do border, not a master's degree holder. Let's be honest about it. So sensitization is really key for Ugandans who have given up and surrendered and said, I think God has given up on us. This is how we were created to be poor. I think for us, we were created to have 1 meal a day. I think for us, education is not for us. I think for us, we were created that every time my mother would go to hospital or my sister, the kids will die at giving birth.
So
we cannot allow those Ugandans. You need to awaken them. And then Bobby Wine has been on a campaign of telling people to get Endagamontu.
Good.
It is a very key campaign because I'm telling you, so many elites. You know, when people give up, they forget they don't even say any reason why they should vote.
Yeah, I think I want to thank you for talking about the national IDs. There is a question that I'll first pose to the audience, and I would wait for the answers from them. What is the purpose of these national IDs? Because this is the second time we are talking about these national IDs. Now, that is to the audience that is watching us right now. What is the purpose? Now, Sarah, coming back to you. Last year, before elections, we had these national ID issues. And this year, we are advocating for them. Now, this time, it's the opposition promoting them more than the government.
Yeah, but it's whether you want it for politics or not, a national ID is very important. For example, did you know that you can fly, apart from, I think, Tanzania, you can fly from Uganda to Rwanda, Uganda to Kenya without a passport, but with your national ID. You just have to buy a ticket. You don't need a passport if you're gonna. There's a time I flew to Rwanda with my ID minus a passport.
Oh, is that effective
yes.
now?
And that was 2015. You can fly from Uganda to Kenya with your national ID, no passport, because it's recognized. You just need your ticket and national ID, and you're good to go. You don't need a passport.
No.
So it is not only for political reasons, but it is something you're going to need. When people are opening up bank accounts, when people are opening up, you need so many things. When people are opening up, you've seen when it comes to bank account, when it comes to getting a SIM card, when you need something to identify you. So take it away from politics. It is a key important thing to have. For example, if something goes crazy in Uganda and you don't have a passport, you can be able to cross over with your national ID.
But let me bring it back to politics.
Yeah.
Before you taking out of politics. Do you think there is a possibility for people to win President Museveni just because of registered?
Now, you have had situations in the past where so many people did not vote just because they did not have the tool to vote. And the tool to vote is Endagamontu or national ID. Even Mao himself at one point, Mao did not vote for himself because he did not have a national ID. So until the time Mao had gone to cast his vote and saw that his name was not on the register, that's when he felt the importance of having a national ID. So it is very important for people. When any president can be outed through a vote. But again, people must have the tools to vote. We can shout till when cows come back home, but if you don't have the tools to vote, because the only tool you have to vote, I've given this example before. If Museveni cannot be out, let's just go to parliamentary elections. Chadondo East had a movement candidate, had an FDC candidate. It had an independent Chagulanyi. Chagulanyi won all the polling stations. Why? People voted. People came out to vote. So you should not underestimate the power of having the national ID when it comes to politics, because it is the tool. As much as you sit back and maybe sit on social media and shout you want change, yet you cannot, how are you going to, the final verdict of you wanting change is you to exercise your right for change. If you cannot vote, then you are as useless as someone who kept quiet and didn't even shout about change.
So I want to put you back a little bit from one of the comments that is coming up from Facebook. Mosaic Avenger says, national IDs are useless. South Sudanese, DR Congo, Rwandese, Burundians, Eritreans, refugees are all using Uganda IDs for voting NRM. Now, how important is that for people of Uganda if foreigners who are not nationals, who are not actually legal made Ugandans, can access these IDs and vote?
You know,
how does it help?
You have corruption. You have people accessing all these things. I know Nigerians who have Ugandan passports because they travel to China. It is very hard to travel to China with the Nigerian passport. They come to Uganda, and they get the passports from internal affairs, though they are Nigerians. So one of the things, as much as those loopholes are there, that shouldn't be an excuse for you getting your national ID. Because you're not going to stop, if Rwandese are getting them, if the Burundians are getting them, what is your excuse for you getting one? You also get yours and have it. Because are you not going to get it because Rwandese are getting them?
Well, because I expect during the elections, maybe someone will win.
So I'm going to pose to you this question. In all these other areas where we've had opposition win, didn't the Rwandese vote? The Burundis, didn't they? Why you mean the Rwandese didn't vote?
I want to put that question back to the
Exactly.
audience.
That's what I'm telling you. If we've had areas where opposition can win, then, because just look at it, just break down Uganda from each and every constituency. Because if Museveni can lose in let's say 100 constituencies, and he does not win, because votes, as much as you look at the national bloc, votes are voted from constituencies. That's why you see in Chadondo East, in Chadondo West, in Kampala, Museveni got this number of votes.
Right.
If in 100 constituencies you don't vote him, then he will lose. So it is important, you do not have to have an excuse because Rwandese has the national ID of Uganda, then that excuse for you not to get it. Get it. If the Rwandese manage to get it, then you're going to get it as well. Get it and have it. That shouldn't be an excuse for you not to have it.
Thank you, Sarah. For people who are watching us on Facebook, we want to thank you so much for being part of the show Uganda Crossroads. And I want to ask you to like our page, LifeM TV. Go to YouTube and like Campfire TV. We are always there and we will be always uploading these videos on YouTube. So we want to encourage you to ask as many people as you can to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like our Facebook page so that you get the updates whenever we are live, so that you don't miss out on these important discussions from all our guests that we always receive here. Sarah is always part of the family, so she's no longer a guest. She's always part of us. But we want to thank you, Sarah, for being part of the show always on Campfire Talk Show in Uganda at Crossroads. Now, summing up, we have heard about national IDs. We've had Uganda and Engule song. Some people, of course, are still criticizing it. Some people are criticizing the national IDs. But you have brought it clear that if people register for them...
National IDs, take it away from politics. You need it. I've just told you, you can travel from Uganda to Kenya with a national ID minus a passport. You can travel from Uganda to Rwanda minus a passport with a national ID. You can do, for you either to open up an account in the bank or to register your SIM card, everyone needs any form of identification with you, because That's one way for identification. People don't have passports, but they can have their national ID. So every Ugandan needs it, whether you criticize it or not. Whether it was Museveni promoting it, it is good for every Ugandan. It is good for every Ugandan. In fact, the government should be paying Bobby Wine for promoting it. The government should be running right now sensitization campaigns to tell people to get their national IDs, and they will be spending millions of money. So if Bobby Wine is doing it for them, they should even be paying him. So it is, despite take away from politics, everyone needs some form of identification. And if you have a national ID, it is very good. And this national ID can take you beyond borders. If it can take you to Rwanda, if it can take you to Kenya, you need it.
Just like we do here. Let me now try to focus on Facebook questions that are coming in. Of course, some are saying, of course, we can win President Museveni. Those are some of the comments that are coming in. There's one important comment that there are many of them are very important. And let me look at Nambalirwa Mona Amina. Having an ID is validity. It's the only documentation that can locate who you are. It's your profiling document. Every resident of the country must have, be it foreigners or not. So I think they are really in.
No, and it's so absurd that people are politicizing now. People are looking at it. When Bobby Wine tells you to get in Ndagamuntu, he's doing the role of government free of charge. Just like I've said, government should be running campaigns. Everyone needs it. Take away the political, connotations to it. Everyone needs an ID. For purposes of identification, you need something. All of us, even where I am, I have something to identify me. That in case of anything, they can trace who I am, where did I come from, every information, where do I stay. We need an ID.
Joelia and Kalunji says that in Uganda, money speaks. When you hear that statement, it's a very common statement used by many Ugandans that in Uganda, money speaks. So does that mean that foreigners can come in and pay and get national IDs, and would that be of an importance for the People Power movement?
But money speaks. That has been the theme of the last maybe 10, 20, 30 years. In Uganda, you can buy a job you do not deserve. You can go for an interview with very educated people with experience for a job, and you with zero experience, no qualifications, because you paid for it, you'll get the job because someone knows you, because the MD is your uncle. That's what has been happening. And it happens everywhere. So this is not new, and again, people shouldn't be okay, people can talk about it, but this is nothing, this is something that is not new in Uganda. It's always been happening.
Aisha bint Nuhu Mustafa says, believe it, many people have not been voting for a long time because they have never sensitized as today. They were never sensitized as today. 7 must go. Ugandans have belief and confidence in it. Well, I think it's a very interesting subject today. People are really eagerly waiting for the day President Museveni in the poll, the president of Uganda, will be leaving the state.
Because we do not have so many, and I've seen people who are making people believe, oh, okay, he can't go be, we have had dictators that have been voted out of power. You have.
Right.
And if it's possible in other countries, it can be possible in Uganda. But at the same time, I've seen people who are saying, no, he can't go through a vote, and they are not clear of the other options. I've just read a comment here where someone mentioned that the only way Museveni can go is through the AK-47. Uganda is, I think, even everywhere in the world, we've lived past the phase of the gun. Because the gun destroys and distorts governments, even the people. Many people lose their lives. The people who are clinging onto power, when hell breaks loose, they are the first to board the first jets with their families and leave the country, and the innocent masses are the ones who die.
Let's end from there.
We do not want to see a war. I'm glad Bobby Wine has been clear. We can change power through peaceful means. We do not want to use the gun. Doesn't need to come in. and it is very clear and straight. For those who feel like they want to go back and start a war, I think we've moved past the era of guns and starting wars. Governments can be changed democratically, and leaders, even if dictators, can go.
Let me end with Babida Leila's comment. It says, Tere kukiriza, no bushes in Uganda. So, Mugisha Patricia, let him go for 47 as the people power will go for Ndagamontu. I want to thank you so much, all our viewers who have been part of this program. You have made it wonderful, and we ask you to please kindly keep on sharing our programs, keep on sharing this show, so that people who have missed it, who have been sleeping, depending on whichever location, wherever you are, can go and watch it and see how people interact and how communication is done. And we believe that change is coming. We don't know how and when, but based on the guests we always have here, what they normally say when they compete with those who are in power, they prove to us that change is coming. So tell us what you think. Send us your comments. Like our programs, like our page, and please don't forget, I also advocate for go and register for the national IDs. They're important for your economy, they're important for your politics, they're important for yourself. Thank you so much. Sarah, your final words, and in other words, I want you to summarize it this way. Who is Eddie Kenzo to you as you're summarizing?
Eddie Kenzo is an artist, very intelligent guy, very humble, and now he has what happened yesterday, he has elevated himself into a peacemaker. The elders are going to respect him. People are going to look at him. And I'm telling you, from what Eddie Kenzo did, Airtel is going to renew his endorsement. Companies would want to work with someone who has a unifying factor. Eddie Kenzo has just scored 100%. From his show, he just showed you, because it was his show that brought up these two people, whether, I know it wasn't staged, it wasn't planned, but the fact that he played it. By the way, Eddie Kenzo, as the man of the day, if he wanted to instigate chaos, he would have used the microphone to instigate chaos at that moment. You know that?
Right.
If Eddie Kenzo wanted to use the microphone to cause chaos in that room, Serena Hotel would have been burnt down. Because they were Bebe's fan, they were Bobby Wine's fans. Police would have, people would have been shot dead. But Eddie Kenzo, as a man on the microphone, he used the microphone to unify. Whether Bebe could fake it, whether it wasn't genuine, that's a story for another day. For us, what we wanted to see, can we have Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool sit side by side and no chairs are burnt and people are peaceful? Can we have Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool shake hands and no one and peace prevails? Can we have Bobby Wine and Bebe Cool hug and there is still peace in the room? We got all that. Now it's like, have you seen when Wayangu used to see, you see there is a book of the cock that had a crown, the red crown. Was it a turkey or a cock? People feared the cock so much. That's a book, one of the books kids read. People feared the cock so much that they thought it was carrying fire on its head. The day they touched the crown and discovered the thing doesn't burn, that's when the cock lost its power.
I kind of get
so
it.
now, yesterday, we understood that Bebe Cool, however much he makes a lot of noise, he doesn't burn. No matter the fact that he was putting on red, he's not fire. Bebe Cool and Bobby Wine can coexist and live, and now our focus is Museveni. For them, we are done. That has been dusted. Let them sit in the wardrobe, and for us now, Aruta continue.
Thank you, Sarah. I want to thank you, Sarah, so much, and the people who have been watching us from the start to this time. This has been a very incredible show. To me, Eddie Kenzo is the person of the month, January, as the year 2019 starts, because to me, I say he's spectacular, he's incomparable, he's exceptional, he's smart, he did whatever. What we are thinking about could have happened in 10 years or 20 years to come. He made it within just one day. So kudos to Eddie Kenzo, and thank you so much for watching us. I'm going to ask our producer to make the Tuli Wangule Ngule song the last minute and play it for us, and as we end up the show. But I want to thank you so much. See you next Saturday, and tune in again for Love, Sex and Money coming up next. Thank you.
Never again shall it be that this beautiful nation will again experience the oppression of one by another and bear the indignity of being the skunk of the world. Yaga 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 ya.
Mambo Uganda, Yambala,
Zenga buwedde
tuliyambale kule
Menzinga ewedde
tuliyambale kule
Nekibataka nga kiwedde
tuliyambale kule tulivimba mu Uganda empya
Siyagasi
ngawedde tuliyambale wanatemalira nga buwedde tuliyambale kule obukenuzi nga bugeze tuliyambale tulivimba mu Uganda empya tuliyambala tufugisa mundu
nsensubize
mukwanga ey'amazima n'owekanya tulinyumirwa Uganda eyo
kale n'ofuna endaga muntu osobola okwebereramu n'okukyusa ebikunyiga ago amaanyi tugalina era mikopa wange wangudde tuliyambale mule tulinyumirwa Uganda empya
omusolo nga gugendedde
tuliyambale kule
abalimi nga bafunye akatale
tuliyambale kule
nga mu nsi olina eddembe
tuliyambale kule tulivimba mu Uganda empya
amalwaliro nga gateredde
tuliyambale kule
nga tetukyava nga tuzaala
tuliyambale kule
nga buli kikyamu kiteredde
tuliyambale tulivimba mu Uganda empya
mukozesa mirembe temulwana
tuliyambale kule
mwenna muli baana ba Luhanga
tuliyambale kule
bannayuganda tuli ba Luganda
tuliyambale kule tulinyumirwa Uganda
engule nzima